Welcome to 12-Ounce Sports Radio and The Burn with Mitch Show. Here's your host, Mitch Bernstein.
And a good evening, everyone. Welcome to 12-Ounce Sports Network, The Burn with Mitch Show. This is your host, Mitch Bernstein. Welcome. I am glad you're here on this Tuesday, already April the 13th. Beautiful day here in the Philadelphia area. Sun's out, started cloudy, a little bit rainy, but it turned out to be a beautiful evening. Hope everything is good where you are. Thanks for being here. We've got another terrific show, a diverse show, if you will, this evening. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Followed by my three rants, which I'll give in a little while, and a shout out. We've got a professional tuna fisherman from the television show Wicked Tuna, Captain Bob Cook. He is the captain of the FV vessel. Okay, FV Tuna, Fat Tuna. So we will have Bob on, and we'll talk about Wicked Tuna and what he's been doing, what we are seeing on the show, and find out what else is going on in the tuna world right now with Captain Bob. So he'll be on. Tell your fishing friends, your tuna fishing friends, if you'd like to come on and listen, that would be great. Bob will be followed up by someone who has been very inspirational to a lot of people, including myself, sports artist Lauren Taylor. Lauren is someone who was involved with her own sports cards and how she has developed them and produced her product is amazing, and Topps, we're going to find out how Topps got a hold of her, because Topps is now in their 70th year, and to commemorate that, they picked up off of Project 2020 from last year and have invited more artists, Lauren included, and she is developing cards in her own design for Project 70. So Lauren will be on. We're going to talk Lauren, her background. She's had some, she's open about mental health issues, so we're going to get into a little bit of that at 6:50. And hoping that Brian D. Oakes can come on. Brian just messaged me. He had a bit of a family emergency. I don't know if he'll be on tonight at 7:25. If not, we'll talk a little more. We'll probably talk some baseball and go around the horn with some sports, give you some updates on Captain Lou's show tomorrow here on 12-Ounce Sports Network, give you some updates about my guests for next week, and do some other things. But that's our show for this evening. I'm glad you're with us, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all the follows and all the Twitter mentions and notifications and likes and retweets. It's been terrific. So thank you for that. So that's our show, and I'll just start with my rants right now. So I've got three. One is related to a specific baseball team and their fans. One is related to Major League Baseball, and the third is about a golfer who just played in the Masters. And for those of you who are golf fans, it was kind of an nondescript, if you will. Some really good shots, some really fun things to watch. But as it turned out, wasn't as exciting as it could have been. It has been in the past. So and that's the way it goes sometimes, right? You get somebody who gets hot. The putter gets hot. They're driving well, and it becomes no contest. So let me start out with my first one, the Atlanta Braves and their fans. And it's as a result of the play at the plate on Sunday Night Baseball. You may have seen Alec Boehm from the Phillies is on third base. Short fly to left field. Marcelo Zuna does not have a really good arm at all in left field. Alec Boehm decides to tag up and he tries to score. Well, according to the umpires, he was safe. When you looked at it in real time, it looked like he was safe. We couldn't see if his foot actually touched the part of the plate. The problem is nobody really saw any part of his foot touch the plate. For two reasons. One, the umpire who's standing right behind, he's right on top of the plate, right there, and they calls him safe. My first reaction was right, yeah. And then you look at the replay, the first replay they showed, and you really couldn't tell. Could he have gotten it down? Yes, but you're blocked out by his foot. So my rant involves Major League Baseball and their camera angles. NFL, when you watch NFL football and you watch NHL hockey, I do believe, in any NFL they have the goal line camera, and even though when there's a pileup, and you really can't tell it a pileup, okay, but if it's something close and you at least you're where you're supposed to be, though again it should be, and they do sometimes have the cameras above the line, the goal line. In hockey, they have the camera, again, sometimes, I'm not sure if it's all the time, and some of my hockey buddies from 12 on Sports can confirm this, that there is a camera that comes from above the goal line to make sure that the puck completely crossed over to be credited for a goal. Why doesn't Major League Baseball have in every ballpark a camera above home plate? Why? This would alleviate the issues of plays at the plate. You can argue that is the most important camera to have. And you need the best angles. Why haven't they done it? I think a replay camera above the plate in every ballpark would really help with the replay guys in New York who have to make a decision based on the call of the umpire. Umpire called him safe. There was but there really was, conclusive evidence that he never touched the plate. Now, as a Phillies fan, I'll take the break. Okay? I'll take the break. So, it's going to all even out in the end. Pretty much it does, as we talk about in sports, right? It evens out. These breaks go one way or the other. Your team gets screwed. The other team gets away with it, and then down the season, it happens to the same teams, and like I said, it evens out. So Major League Baseball, it's a simple problem to solve. And then my other complaint is about the number one. Oh, I forgot. Brian Snitker. I didn't call him Snicker in my tweets. Why was he allowed to come out of the dugout and argue? What is he arguing? The umpires aren't going to change the call. The call came from New York. What was he doing? Why wasn't he thrown out on his ass and said, "Listen, Brian, it wasn't us. New York said it. I'm sorry. Get off the field." Well, they let him go. And then the Braves fans and Matt Vasgersian, jerk, who was calling the game, again, once again had to relate to the Philadelphia fans. Oh, they're used to this. That's a bunch of BS. Atlanta fans, you're not so good, okay? You threw your bottles on the field. And then Dansby Swanson, God bless him, Atlanta Brave, in a news conference after the game, said, "We're better than this." He didn't like it. Bottles flying over kids' heads. I mean, you should have seen, you may have seen the picture I saw. There had to have been 50 to 100 bottles of something on the field. It was absolutely asinine. Braves fans, go screw off. You're no better than anybody else. Brian Snitker, sit your butt down. Umpires, get better. Shut him up. Get him on the bench. MLB, get a freaking camera above home plate, get the right angle. You got enough money, just do it. It's ridiculous. And then I go to golf, um, and I want people to be honest. You look for honesty in in athletes that you follow. Um, those of you who don't follow golf, um, Xander Schauffele made a comeback on Sunday, last day of the Masters. I think he was two off the lead, and he comes to the 16th hole, which is a par three, and the pin is tucked in the left side of the green. And if you're aggressive and you go for it and you don't make it, you're going to end up in a bad spot. You're never going to make par. You're most likely going to make a bogey. Well, he hits the ball and goes aggressive. Ball lands up way off the green, and he ends up getting a bogey. Why don't you, Xander, go for the fat part of the green, a lot of space, play it safe, get your par, and then you got two more holes. Maybe Hideki Matsuyama, maybe his nerves aren't what they are, should be. You don't know. Be safe. So my problem isn't necessarily what he did. It's what he said afterwards. He said, "Oh, I didn't realize how hard the wind was blowing. He thought it was blowing into him and it was blowing away." Well, that's not the right answer because you went for it. Okay? Just be honest. I just want people to be honest in our sports world. Most of them are, but you know what? You lose the Masters, you make a stupid play, admit it. It was a stupid play. Okay? Anybody who follows golf knows what he did. It was stupid. He shouldn't have done it. Oh, but I did. No, don't make an excuse. I don't like excuses. Those are my rants. All right. Shout out to me. I got my second shot yesterday. My daughter got her first. So, yay me, yay her. Um, Pandemic is still there. Boo. No shout out to Atlanta Braves spectators. Nobody wearing a freaking mask. I don't understand it. But again, I don't. We don't understand a lot of things in this pandemic world. Um, God forbid. God forbid the cases start going up in places where they're not wearing masks. Texas Rangers Stadium, Atlanta. Let's hope it doesn't. More people are going to end up dying, and then they're going to blame anybody but themselves. They're not going to take responsibility like Xander Schauffele didn't. So that's the way I feel, and I'm not swaying from that, and that's the way it goes. All right, it's time for me to calm down and get a drink of water. While I do, I got a couple of ads for you to listen to, and it's 6:15. Ooh, I don't know if I can take a break. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later. Okay, let's do this. Score update, real quick. The Phillies just tied it up. I bitch and moan about the strikeouts, and yet, oh my gosh, Segura, who can't hit a ball, who hit it to two double plays earlier in the game, so I guess he just hit a ground ball single, tied the game, middle of the sixth, 2-2, Phillies and Mets. And those of you who were with me last week, I had the fabulous Ellen Adair on. We were talking Phillies and all sorts of fun baseball stuff. And, she does a victory dance after the Phillies win. She's a fun, silly person who likes to show her love for her team when they win. So she does a victory dance. So we talked about maybe do we do a victory dance contest with our listeners, and the people have spoken. The votes, 66% to 33%. And no, we didn't get 3 votes. We got more than that. Want us to do a dance contest. So we're going to have to figure that out, folks. We're going to have to figure it out and see what we can come up with, because we want to have a prize. We want to have a prize for the winners. We want to figure out how we can actually do this. And I think this is, oh my gosh. Ready to talk some fishing. Hey, Captain Bob, how are you?
Good. What's happening, Mitch? How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. We had a really nice day here today outside of Philadelphia. We,
Nice.
yeah, it was a little cloudy in the morning, but the sun came out, 62 degrees. It was gorgeous. Where you calling from, my friend?
So I live in Essex, Massachusetts, which is
Right.
right next to Gloucester. Yeah.
All right.
So
How's your weather today?
yeah. Our weather is pretty much exactly like you just explained
Oh, good.
today.
Okay.
Uh, we definitely had a little bit of wind, though. You know, it was blowing about 20 from the north. I actually had to take a boat out today, and yeah, it was a little gnarly out there, three
Yeah.
to five footers, but
Oh, goody.
it wasn't. It was nice on land.
Yeah. See, folks, even the captain doesn't like to go up 3 to 5 feet. This is the way it is.
No,
I
I'm a
mean,
fair weather fisherman.
you got it. It's safer for everybody that way, isn't it?
That, that's right. That's
Oh my
right.
gosh! But
Yeah.
sometimes,
The
listen.
fish bite. Yeah.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the fish bite better though when it's rough. The fish bite better. So
Okay.
we
All
like
right.
the rough seeds. Yeah.
All right. And were people out with you today?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story, but the short version is a buddy of mine was trying to sell a brand new down east boat that he just built, and I was helping him sell it. And today was the sea trial, so I kind of went through all the systems. He knows I know a lot about that stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
I was just giving him a hand today.
All
So
right.
that's that's
That's
it.
all right. That's good. I'm glad you're back on land and you're feeling good. So Bob, my wife and I both are huge fans of the show. I mean, we just love it. And one of the reasons is because I like to fish, um, and and she just likes it because I don't know really know why she likes it. She doesn't like the fish, but she likes she likes to watch you guys because it's fun. It's just really fun. Um, so we really love it. We love watching. I mean, when you guys pull up these, you get the 70 incher, 75 inchers, and the 80 inchers, but when you guys pull up the 9 footers, and we look at each other and we go, okay, our ceiling's 10 foot. Holy crap! The fish is that big.
Yeah.
Oh my god! It's just hard to imagine a fish that size. So for me, it's pretty cool. One of these days, I talked to Dave Marciano last year. I'm talking to you now. One of these days, I'm coming up, and we're gonna have to go out and I just want to know what it feels like to bring in even a 200-pound fish. It.
We would love you to come, and we're so happy that you guys enjoy the show, and the whole entire world likes the show for many different reasons. And I love to hear that people find it fun. I love to hear that people learn from it, that it's educational. This year we were able to talk a lot more about kind of our methods and why we're doing things. And
Yeah.
and I got to be honest. When we catch a 9 footer, like you're saying,
Yeah.
we're the same exact way. The excitement never ever goes away. You just never know what's going to bite, and when a big one like that bites, it's I don't know, man. I think it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I've never been more excited than when a bluefin tuna bites, and that's essentially what happened to me probably 30 years ago when I
Okay.
first got when I had my first bite of a bluefin tuna. That was it. There was no looking back for me. It is all I ever want to do. It's all I can think about. It keeps me up at night. It's incredible, and we're just so happy that it entertains people.
Oh, listen. We watched every freaking episode. We love it, and we don't watch it on Sunday night. We wait because we love to watch it on Monday because we DVR it, and it just and I'm being totally honest with you. I can't wait to get home Monday night because we know we're watching Wicked Tuna.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Bob, it's your second season on the show, right?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So a little bit different this year. I forgot. It's when you turn it on the first episode, you're like, okay, here we go, and oh damn, they're dealing with the pandemic also. Did you guys know? You guys knew going in that, or didn't you, that these prices of these fish were going to be a lot less?
We know it was going to be different, Mitch, but I'll tell you what, it came down to, it was crazy, 9th inning, 12th hour, just nuts. The network didn't even know if they were going to be able to send a crew out here to film. And it came right up until probably the day before they sent out the crew, which is about 50 people. And we went through all these safety protocols, and we still had no clue whether they were going to send them, and we were going to have cameras on, and we were going to film. I mean, there was many jobs at stake there, and we had to tell the network that, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to find a market. There will be a market, whether it's domestic or the Japanese market. There will be a market. They will take our fish. Come on out. Let's do this again. We promise you that it's going to happen. And I'll tell you, we kind of look like heroes a little bit because there was no TV being filmed anywhere.
Right.
And this is shown in 100. I think it's 170 countries.
Is that right?
It's insane. Yeah. It's just nuts. So did we know? Did we kind of feed them a bill of goods? In a little bit, it was a calculated risk, but we had no idea just how bad it was going to be, and it was bad. We knew they'd take our fish. We knew the prices would be low, but we knew that it would be exciting. We knew we could make a bit of a living, and we just knew that, I'll tell you, fans like you would really appreciate the efforts, and we got 20 episodes done. I mean, that's five more. Five more than last year.
That's awesome. Oh, I can't. But this is great news. I have Wicked Tuna for a couple more months. This is.
It's a long season. I got buddies of mine. Are you all caught up?
Yes.
Did you watch the last episode?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I got buddies of mine who are texting me, give me all kinds of crap. They're saying, "Wow, you are just buried in last place," and I'm like, "Listen, it's a long season.
Yeah.
We got like 13 more episodes. Calm down. Don't give me crap just yet."
Exactly. Well, and the good part, Bob. So we're into who got somebody? Did somebody get 14 last night or Sunday night?
Marciano. Yep.
Yeah. Good old Dave. Listen, he's had a couple of rough seasons. Poor Dave. I'm so happy for him.
Oh yeah, he's had some rough seasons. There's no doubt about it. And it's an adjustment when you go to a new boat. We're all very happy to see him back on the hard merch. I grew up in Beverly in the same hometown as Marciano. I've known Marciano for longer than any of these other guys have. Okay. And he's always been a fisherman for as long as I can remember. And we all have our struggles. We all have our bad seasons. Maybe he had a couple more than most, but it's not for lack of effort. He put in a lot of effort this year. He always does. Got a great crew. So we'll see. We'll see how he does this year.
Yeah, it's listen, and it's different in another way too. And this is kind of for most of us, the worldly perspective. I do believe, and I get the feeling, is that you guys aren't like Tyler isn't being a dope. He's kind of grown up a little bit, and accepted the fact that he's got to be an adult and stop being a little, teenager, if you will. And talking smack. I mean, talking smack is one thing, but really being nasty is another. And I think what I felt the first 2 weeks was, hey, we're all in this together. We're helping each other out this year because it's a different year. And that's kind of nice. I mean, it is nice to see that. But other part of me, Bob, is like, damn it, I really wish they'd go back to some guys hating each other because it was a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say it was difficult for everybody to get along, but it was difficult in a way that we kind of felt like it took our competitive edge away just a little bit. The fact that we had to.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I changed my methods of the way I do business out there. Let's face it, last year was a little bit too much trash talk, a little bit too much I'm better than you, and I've got a chip on my shoulder, I've got something to prove, and it's just a little too much. And a happy medium is nice, and I do kind of want that competitive edge back. and you're going to see it. You're going to see that come back a little bit, and none of it was contrived. Everything was natural. Everything was organic. Listen, we can't get along as a crew for 20 episodes. It's not possible. We all want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're in a competition, you're going to see some changes here, and I don't know if it's going to play out. We actually see it when you guys see it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's some yelling back and forth, and there's some, hey, you're on my spot, and there's this, there's that. And I got to tell you, man, we all just want to win. We want to be the best boat in the fleet. So I think you'll probably see it
Okay, good.
before the end here.
Okay, well, that's good. Folks, did you hear that? There may be some better, more smack talk. I love it. But, I mean, you're right. I mean, the thing is, again, we're all in this stupid pandemic together. And yeah, I think you had to go that way initially. But when push comes to shove, like any other competition, I don't care if it's fishing, if it's a team sport, basketball, wrestling, one-on-one, golf. Hey, you want to beat the guys. You are there to win, and whatever you have to do to win, you're going to win. And if someone's, like you said, someone's getting on your nerves or pissing you off, you're going to say, hey, dude, come on. You got to have to set them straight.
Oh, yeah. And yes, Tyler is a master at getting underneath people's skin, and that's just what he does. And have we seen him grow up a little? Yeah, we've seen him grow up a tad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he kind of has no choice. And a year like this probably taught him that, hey, maybe I just don't have to go that way completely. Maybe I can meet these guys somewhere in the middle and still have that competitive edge, but be a gentleman as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's tough. It's tough when you're in the moment. You just have no idea what's going to come out of even your own mouth sometimes, because you're so in the moment and so, like you said, pissed off sometimes, and it comes out. It's natural. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I also think, specifically speaking of Tyler, that when he lost, I forgot who was it that he lost?
Duffy.
I think
Duffy,
he learned a little bit about life and how short it can be. And it's just really, really, listen, that was sad. I mean, right? It was so freaking sad. And
that was extremely sad. Yeah.
It's just gotta take something out of you. It's gotta make you realize that, life is short, and stop being a jerk when I don't have to be, and just don't do my own thing. It's really, really tough.
For sure.
Really tough.
For sure. Anytime any of us lose a loved one like that we not only, respect it as a true friend, and, if for him, a teammate, that hit him pretty hard. That hit the whole entire fleet pretty hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that no matter what, he's going to grow up a little bit from an episode or instance like that. And it's a life molding event. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is tough. All right, so yeah, you talked about, Bob, and what we're seeing a lot of, more in terms of, quote, as you said, education, teaching us. Yeah, a lot of, I know I talked to Dave. I said to ask Dave, because I really was curious about how, when you get that fish on board, what is all that stuff that you're doing, and, to keep it in good shape. Like the guys say on the dock, you took good care of it. So that was very interesting, because we've gone through that again. He didn't tell me though about the rice paper, the green rice paper. Does everybody use that in terms of to keep the fish the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah, not everyone. We all kind of do things slightly different, but the most important thing is to get that core temperature down, and to make sure that you bleed that fish overboard, and you get 100% of the blood out of them.
Right.
And because that blood's warm, it's gonna. Yeah, I mean, basically they're cooking from the inside out, so you have to do something right away, which is gut that fish and pack their core with ice to get that body temp way down in the 40s. So, and that's extremely important. And then you kind of just pack all around their body mass with ice, and most importantly by that toro, by the stomach. That's the
Yeah.
high quality, high price meat. It all is, but you got to concentrate on a lot of different things. Now, if you're putting them in a bag and you know that they're already out of the sun and they're not going to get beat on and sunburnt and cooked from the outside in, sometimes you might not use that rice paper. But for me, I use it no matter what, 100% of the time. So.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, it's again, it's so interesting. And then what there's a lot of talk of this year, baked. It's interesting, and I'm learning about and Paul gave a good description of it on Sunday about where the herring is, and there's a lot of mackerel around, and it was, and I'm throwing this stuff out at different parts of the show. So it's very interesting, depending upon you catching. I mean, what do you like to use most? Or
I got to tell you,
depend?
it all depends. Yes, where you're fishing. Deeper waters, sometimes when your bait's a little bit deeper, and you know that they're doing what we call bottom bouncing and vacuuming the bottom. A lot of times you'll see them bounce up from the bottom. They're on things like whiting, things like herring, but when you're in shallow water, like on Stellwagen Bank, and it's 100 feet of water, we know that they're feeding at or near the surface, and that's always mackerel. So again,
Right.
it's like any style of fishing. So when you're fly fishing or you're fishing baits on the pond or the streams or whatever, you're matching the hatch, and you're matching whatever they're going after. And for me, when I'm in the herring and I know that these fish are on the herring, I know that I'm going to get bit. I just know how to present the herring correctly. Yeah, and so that's my favorite type of bait. But a lot of guys, I also like stick baits. A lot of times you'll see a fish come up and swipe at a live bait, and then he'll just keep going. And so that means he just got lazy. He doesn't want to take the effort to chase that bait again. So that's when you put a stick bait down there, and the stick bait looks so real that they're just going to grab it, and the stick bait's not going to go anywhere because it's dead. So it all depends. Just all depends where we're fishing.
All depends. Yeah, you reminded me, yes, of what Paul was doing. I mean, intricate work. I mean, oh my gosh, I don't know how you guys do it with your fingers. I mean, it's all practice, obviously. I have a hard time tying a line on my rod. I'm just not adept enough at doing it. Like when my line breaks, I'm like, oh crap, I got to redo this thing. I'm not really good at, I get my brother-in-law to say, Steve, can you put this on there, please? And he's like, okay, fine. But I got to, Bob, I'm 65 years old. You think I could learn, for crying out loud? Geez Louise.
Well, I'll tell you, I just turned 48, and doing a stick bait on the boat, that's when I noticed that, oh my God, my eyes are doing what I've given my buddies crap for the last 5 years, my buddies who are now wearing readers. And here I am. Now I need readers to do my stick baits. And it's not fair, man.
It's the worst.
But it is, for sure.
I mean, really the first thing to go are the eyes. I'm like, I'm wearing bifocals. I'm like, what the hell is this? And this was like, when I was like 45. I've been wearing for 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh God, the first things are the eyes to go. Oh man, I'm getting old. That's one of the signs. You're right.
When I went into the optometrist when I was 45, he had no idea how old I was. He looked at me. He went, 45, huh? That's when it starts. I was like, oh God, yep.
He knew.
Here we go.
Man, terrible. My daughter, who works as my social media manager, texted me and says if you've done any other kind of fishing, commercial fishing, and what's your fave?
Absolutely, I have. I grew up when I was 12 years old. I started working as a sternman, a backman on a lobster boat, and I did that right up until I was about 19 summers when I was in school. And I ended up doing a lot of offshore lobstering too at George's Bank, where that Perfect Storm was filmed out, in and around areas like that. But yeah, I did that, and then I gill netted for years. I worked on board. I did striped bass fishing for years. So yeah, and then that turned into tuna. So I've been commercial fishing all my life. But it's not solely what I do. It's not my sole source of income. It's almost impossible these days to have that as your sole source of income. So I actually have a little pizzeria in Beverly, Mass. called Little Italy Pizzeria. That that's I call that my land job, and tuna is my sea job. So I'm very happy and very lucky to have both.
Good for you. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's got to be. I mean, you have obviously the show, but then you have your normal fat tuna. You run your charter boats, right? You run those out. That's part of your that's your job, which is
that's
good.
my job. Yeah.
It's I mean, you do think about these guys who are out there and it's their job, and are they able to? I mean, I'm guessing again. They want to pay these guys. Are these guys? Are their deckhands? Are they their regular deckhands? And are they gonna quote get the paycheck? You know, the Daves, the other Daves, and the Tylers to pay Merm, and are they? I mean, has it ever been really bad that you really got scared? That you were
last season. I got to be honest. Last season, yes, and I tell you, we think about our mates before we think about ourselves. For me, in particular, my mates both have kids, and I'll tell you, there has been times where I've paid them, and then I've paid all the fees on the boat, the fuel, the slip fee, the insurances, and I have made a lot less than them. That happens. It happens. But then when it's good, you can really make up for it. But it really hasn't been all that good the last couple of years.
No.
So we have to be very careful, and that's why the charter business, we got a lot of people that really want to come fishing with us and go tuna fishing and experience what we experience. And we're lucky to have that too, because that's where, a good amount of our income comes from.
Yes. Yeah.
And the show does not pay us a lot of money. So
right.
What it is it's marketing for us. It's
yes.
the best commercial you could ever possibly have. It doesn't, you couldn't pay a couple $1 million to have the marketing that show does for us and our chartering. So that's where the money comes in. And so when we're not making it selling fish commercially, we're making it, through charters.
Yeah.
So, and that's where, I pay my mates really well. And I'm so happy to do that. It's very important to me.
Well, that's that I think I'm guessing you learned that growing up. You feel responsible because you're their boss, and it's not a 9-to-5 job, and they're not getting anything unless you catch. So, and that's a great thing to know. That you take care of your guys before yourself. I mean, you can. I think, I'm guessing that you can survive, but you want to make sure that these guys also can, because again, you feel responsible for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, you get what you give. These guys, they recognize that, hey, some days I'm not making a dime, and they are. They totally recognize it because I treat them very well. And I know a lot of other captains who do as well. They are going to show up every single day, and they're going to give me 150% effort. In my opinion, they're the best in the fleet. I'll tell you right now, John is one of the best fishermen I've ever met in my entire life, John Cussler. So I got a lot going for me on deck. Manny is an absolute workhorse. He never asks questions. If you ask him to do something, I would never ask him to do anything I wouldn't do myself. He knows that. And so when I ask him, he is right there to do it. And it's just, and that's why you never see us getting on each other's nerves on deck. You never see, we're calm, we're cool, we're collected. We know each other's next moves. And it's just really important when you're out there. I mean, it could be downright unsafe if that's not the case. So.
Yeah, I understand that. You have it's like a little dance that you guys have to go through, especially when you got the fish on coming near the boat. Who's getting ready to get the tail rope? Who's shooting who's gonna spear him? You got to be in sync. And listen, you do a nice job. Obviously, you care for. Here's the thing about being a supervisor. I've had a lot of them. If you show an interest in them, they're going to be loyal and they're going to work, like you said, they're going to work their butts off for you. And you're obviously a great.
That's exactly right.
It's
a respect
is.
thing, and really, I you can't overuse that word, respect. It is the most underused word, I believe, in the English language, because if you do not have that, you got nothing. You have nothing, and those guys respect me, and I respect the heck out of them.
Right. You got to respect them for who they are, and you got your buddy. You know them, and they know you, and that's the way it works. Trust, respect, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Captain Bob, what's the biggest tuna you've caught ever?
For me, it was 122 inches long, and it was only 920 pounds. I still have yet, and we've caught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things. I still have not hit the 1,000-pounder club. I haven't, and it kills me to this day. But
and that's a thing,
John,
huh? That's a thing. That's the
thing. Huh? Oh yeah, right. It's a club. Yeah, some guys are in it, time and again, and they just have gotten that lucky bite time and again. But for us, for me, I know John's had one that was over 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
That was probably about 10 years ago. But and I think Manny and I caught our biggest. He caught his biggest with me probably about 10 years ago, and that one was in the 8s. Maybe mid 8s.
Okay.
But no 1,000-pounders.
1,000 pounds. I just want a 20-pound fish. That's all I want. I haven't got anything. Bob, I'll take a mackerel for 20 pounds. Can you? Come on, give me a whiting.
It's been a long winter. I'd take one of those too, man. I would too.
Last thing. So. How do you guys are you selected to go to do the Outer Banks? Do you choose? Do you have to be asked?
Yeah, you have to be asked to do the Northern Show, and the Southern Show is completely separate of the Northern Show. It's the same exact deal. You have to be asked to go down there as well.
Okay.
We are all even in limbo for this season up here. None of we know the show's coming. We know the show's coming back.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the network, they are awesome to deal with, and Pilgrim is the studios that actually it's their show and they sell it to Nat Geo, but they are super secretive around this time of year as far as who they're going to have back as captains. Not even the original 5 guys know, and so. We have a hard enough time being asked back to come on the Northern Show.
Yeah.
Never mind the Southern Show. So but we feel like we on Fat Tuna, we worked our butts off, and we make it easy for them. We're extremely professional, and they seem to like us a lot. So I'd say we got a damn good shot at coming back. But if I was ever asked to go down south, I would do it in a heartbeat.
You would? Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, because those guys, man.
These guys, yeah.
Man, they are feisty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a different fishery altogether down there. It's a whole lot of trolling. I got to be honest with you. I think they'd have a very hard time coming up here to fish these waters.
Yeah.
But they all are very good fishermen in their own right, and they've got all their chartering happens when we're doing our fishing up here. So that's their big time charter season down there.
Absolutely.
So there's the winter bluefin fishery for them, and that's January, February, and maybe parts of March, but that's it for them. And then they sort of put the boats away, and then they go right into chartering, about a month later.
Right. That's no picnic. I tell you what, I'm watching that with the wind and the cold and oh my, you talk about, 3 to 5. I mean, they're out there fishing. I mean, listen, they're as competitive as anybody, like you guys are. But they're a lot, and even some of the guys on the fleet, whether it's Paul or Dave or Tyler, you got to stay out there. You want to catch that fish. You got to, again, that one a day was like, okay, when that came up a couple, 4 years ago, I was like, oh, geez, really one a day now? Wow. So it's like,
I know.
it's tough. It's got to be tough.
We almost have no choice, especially this year where, a lot of times it was 3-day weeks and the buyers would say, nope, not taking any fish the next 2 days. And we'd say, well, then we got to go tomorrow, even though it's blowing 30, 40, out of the Northeast. And we know we're going to get our asses kicked. We still have to go. If we don't go, we're just, that's 4, 5, 6 days without a paycheck. And it's you just can't do anything with that. You're in the red before you start. It's a real joke. And so you got to go. You just have no choice.
You have no choice. Absolutely. All right, Bob, this has been fun. I'm so thankful for you for taking the time to give me a call. I'm so glad I reached out and talked to your folks there. And, my wife and I are retiring. We're going to Wilmington in September. And
congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you. We're very excited about it. I'm going to be doing more fishing when I get down there. Can't wait, from the piers down there. And but I tell you what, I have to. I'm gonna tell my wife at some point we're gonna have time. We gotta go and go out with one of you guys. It's because it would be so much fun, just so much fun.
At the very least, come on up, and all the guys are so approachable, myself included, and there's a ton of fans who come, and it's just they love it. Gloucester is awesome. Just to go around and meet us all, and if you don't get out fishing, I'd love to get you out there fishing, obviously, but come up anyways. Even off season.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah,
we'll do it.
But congrats, man.
I'll bring my daughter. She's going to say, "What about me?" I said, "Kelsey, yes, you can meet us there. No problem. Take a trip up there."
Good.
All right, Bob, been a pleasure. Can't wait to look forward to the next many episodes. I can't wait. I'm going to be pulling for you, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks for this. I had a ball. I am not happy unless I'm thinking about tuna and talking about tuna. So you have just made me happy as well.
I'm glad to be able to do that, my friend. All right, continue to be safe out there, and I'll keep watching. We know we will.
Yeah, man, be safe and, enjoy Wicked Tuna. Thanks so much.
We love it. Thank you, Bob. Take care.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
All right. Fishing fans, how was that? I think I loved it. I really did like it. Because, you watch a show, you get to know these guys, and then you get to talk to one of them. It's just terrific. Coming up in a couple of minutes, the terrific, amazing sports artist, Lauren Taylor. She is, we're going to talk a lot of sports cards and a little bit about herself. And I promise you this will be a great conversation because we are going to delve into some things that are a little, for some people, tough to talk about. And that's her and anybody's issues with a mental illness. But we're going to first talk. So I'm looking forward to her coming on in just a couple of seconds. And yes, Kelsey, you're coming. That's fine. I'm sure that Bob would allow you to hold on to that rod as a fish is on, and you can feel what a maybe 200-pound tuna fish is like, maybe 300, maybe 4. How cool would that be? The good thing is you only have to reel, you don't have to hold the rod. All right, here comes Lauren Taylor, friends. Hey, Lauren, it's Mitch. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Mitch?
I'm doing terrific. How is things by you?
Pretty good. No complaints. We actually have a little sun over on this side of the the world. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
haven't been able,
Yeah,
haven't gotten outside to enjoy it yet, but
Yeah, I
there.
know. I was telling Bob, my first caller, we had it was a cloudy morning, but the sun came out and it got up to like 62 degrees, and we love it here when that happens. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
that's kind of
thing.
what's going on here too. I know.
Yeah. When are you gonna hit 62?
I think we're pretty darn close today, apparently. I mean,
Really?
I've got some, been working on some deadlines today, so I feel kind of
Oh
like
no.
I'll have it.
You mean you're busy?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a good thing though.
Shocking.
It's a good thing though. Yeah.
It is a good thing. Lauren,
Yeah.
listen, I told you, I tweeted out to you, listen, I don't know how I knew, but I just knew that your stuff was going to just take off with this project. I mean,
Thank you.
When I first saw it and I told you this, it's like, this is so freaking cool. So what are your reactions? I mean, I've been watching you, and listen, your Facebook Live thing was terrific.
The live creating, or just me rambling? There's two things.
Rambling is okay. I'm okay with that too. No, the creating. Listen, what was really interesting though, and then we'll get into your reactions on this. But what I love as a fan and watching you create. Number one, in my eyes, I see you with a brush. Right? Artists do this stuff with a brush. But wait a minute, there goes Lauren with her fingers. It's like, what the heck is she doing? Whoa, that's pretty cool. And then the thing that really got me, because I wasn't able to stay up. You're out there.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's brutal for these kind of stuff.
But what was really cool was when you mentioned the top of the helmet and the sun, that bright piece that was hitting this helmet was the sun.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I see that. And then when the card came out, you know what it was like, Lauren? It was like, oh, cool. That is so cool because I got to see that period created.
Yeah, and that was kind of the hope, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that more, because I do often create the piece smaller first, because I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I've tried. Garrig was the only one I've made so far that I nailed on the first. Like, I was like, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Other ones I've made a few different variations and tried some different things out, and so I make them smaller. Otherwise, it would be, it'd be impossible if I made them all, the large size. So once I kind of find the design that works, then I recreate it larger. And so I thought it was a good opportunity to kind of create live for people, which is something I, previously had been a little bit afraid to do, just because the internet is the internet. And people sometimes have, their 5-year-olds could do this, those comments.
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun. It was really fun kind of engaging with people and answering questions as they went along. And it's been an incredible reception so far, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, when you were on, so what that does, and when Blake was on too, a couple things. One, is that the artists that I have come in contact with are just, I think I told you this too before. Anybody who's got a special talent like that, but when it involves baseball or sports, even more enamored, with that person and what they can do. But then you bring it right to the people when you went on Facebook Live. And it was fun. It's Lauren Taylor. Ramble as much as you want. Have a problem. Fenway was doing something that he wasn't supposed to do, right?
Always.
Yeah.
They're angels until, they'll probably join the podcast by barking or something here shortly, just because. They've been quiet all day. But.
Yes, of course, because mom's on the phone and doing something else. Exactly.
Yeah, they're like children, yes.
But to be able to witness you as a person, and when I just talked to you about you and Blake, because those are the only two that I've seen. I think I don't know if you are the only two doing it, but to be able then to relate to you as a person also, you build that connection. And I felt more connected to you as you were talking about what you were doing and answering your questions. So, that was great. It was just a lot of fun for me, and I know for everybody else, I'm sure, out there.
Building my brand kind of in a way that's, reminds people that, I am just one of them, has been really helpful, and in a good way to kind of build an audience around the fact that, I'm a flawed weirdo too. I just make art. So, it's kind of nice, sitting around and chatting with people, and everybody makes fun of my snack, which is frozen peas. I don't know why I like frozen peas.
I didn't see those before.
Yeah, but everyone's always like, "Oh, where are your frozen peas?" And it's almost like we're hanging out, and
Absolutely. That's it. That's
nice. And that's nice because I think, people that have invested their money in my art and their cards deserve to have that kind of experience. And, because it's never lost on me that this is a hobby, yes, but it stays a hobby without support. It stays just a side gig. It stays, right. And so I've always been very grateful for folks that support, and I try and, my brand is me, the good and the bad. So, mental health, art, my dogs, all of it. It's all one. It's, it's a full package, and I try not to shield too much of that, even if it's not even, sometimes it's not the neatest put together package, but I think people relate to that because no one is, no one's perfect. So
yes, I think you're right. I mean, it's so true. And I wanted to go back so let me tell you what I did. So, I work at an upper school, 9th, 5th, 12th graders. And yep. I reached out to one of our school psychologists, and I said, listen, I've got this woman coming on tonight. She's very open about mental illness, panic, anxiety. Do you think it's okay if I send an email to our kids at the school and have them listen to Lauren and talk about what she's gone through? And
Love it.
I didn't know what the reason. I wanted to get her blessing first, because if she said, well, can I touch a subject? But she was absolutely in. So I wanted to delve in a little bit if some of our hometown kids are listening. Lauren, and you mentioned this. You and I had a Twitter back and forth, or maybe it was on Facebook.
Yep.
You were going through some stuff with somebody, and I said, please ignore, and you said it was hard. And yes, it is hard because you're so invested in this. But there's a point at which...
And we're human. Absolutely. I think the people that struggle the most with mental health tend to be the ones that feel the most. And It's kind of a double-edged sword in that way. And I think that's why I've always been so drawn to trying to talk to kids, is because that was such a terrifying and lonely time in my life, because I felt so different. And I didn't know what was, up ahead. So yeah, I mean, always love chatting with younger folks who are on the journey, or even people that are younger in a sense that they may be older than me in age, but younger in their journey with mental health. It's always been my main goal of building my platform has been to reach more people about mental health. Right. The art and sports are great, but at the end of the day, my legacy, I want to be, inspiring kids to find ways to push through some of those obstacles. And that is no easy task. And it's very hard when you don't have support and people, you feel misunderstood. And, schools do their best. They already have their hands full with, all sorts of different things. So, I always say I kind of am trying to be the adult and the person that I needed. I know that's cliche and kind of almost corny, but it's so true. I wanted to be seen so badly by an adult that saw me struggling and would talk to me. But it's like people that struggle with mental health are so good at hiding it. Absolutely. It becomes your greatest skill. And you develop it. It doesn't matter how old you are. You develop that, because you learn that it's not safe. It's not smart, or it's not cool, or it's not healthy, or whatever. People will make fun of you. And that's what I'm trying to change, is that, even if you do feel like that, to kind of remind people that time in my life, and that I still struggle with it, but, that loneliness that I created for me in high school actually is what has set me up for what I'm doing today, which I wish I had known then. and it's impossible. There's no way to convince someone, when they're 15, that some things don't matter, and that when you're 28, no one cares, or when you're 35, no one cares if you were the most popular person in high school. It's
Right.
all petty, and it's so yeah, speaking with kids and trying to get them to find creative outlets has been probably the most special part of growing my platform through art.
Yeah, and I want to share with you something that I think you'll relate to, because when I started listening to you and reading about your thoughts and your videos, um,
Hmm.
I who knew what a panic attack was? I had no idea. Um, I had lost a
Many people
job,
don't.
right? I had lost a job,
Yep. Hmm.
and I was at home, and it was Thanksgiving, and all of a sudden I began to have issues with catching my breath.
Yes,
Um, had no idea what the hell was going on. It was scary as crap, and nobody
it is.
understood it.
Yeah.
Lauren, I was scared to death. I mean, I really didn't know what the hell was going on. Thank God I had a psychologist friend that I worked with who had done some um, seminars with me at summer camp when I was a camp director. And I
Sure.
called him up and I said, "What the hell do you think is going on? This is what's happening." He says, "Tell me about what's going on." I said, "Well, I kind of just lost my job." He goes, "Okay, here's what I think it is. I think it's your body reacting to stress." I said,
Absolutely.
"Okay, that's good. How the hell do I get rid of it? Because
Yeah.
this is scary
Yeah.
as
I feel like
crap."
I'm dying. Yeah. I feel like I'm
Lauren,
having
I
a heart
couldn't catch
attack
my
or
breath.
something.
I couldn't
Yeah.
sleep. It was like,
Yeah.
what the hell? So he ended up, I mean, literally 2 days of, in essence, not sleeping. I couldn't lay down, couldn't catch my breath. So, long story short, he prescribed some medication. We called it my happy pill. It worked. But then, Lauren, ever since that time, and this is 20, 15, 20 years now,
Hmm.
even when I would go get a haircut, as simply as going to get a haircut, I would get this. I try to catch my breath thing.
It's possible.
Going,
It's possible that you could have one of those in a place that you
wow,
can't just escape.
I
And
was.
that's mental health in a nutshell. Sometimes panic attacks, you panic about panicking, and that's when you get in that cycle.
It's terrible.
Where there was times in high school I was afraid to leave my house or go to school or whatever, and my parents didn't understand. And it is one of those things where you learn to how traumatic it is, and that's kind of the sad thing about panic attacks is in themselves they are traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand just how, and I've had friends, and so I'll give you a good example
Mm-hmm.
for kids, even if they're listening, or hopefully parents as well that are listening.
Right.
I come from my mom's side of the family is Spanish and very tough, just tough as nails. I mean, I saw my parents owned a restaurant. I mean, they worked all the time. My mom and dad, I don't think I ever really remember my dad being sick ever. My mom, if she'd have to be like on her deathbed to be,
Right.
taken out of that kitchen,
Yes, right, sure.
and when she was sick, we were all like, oh, geez, mom is really sick. You didn't complain, nothing. You just made do. You made things work. Life was stressful. That's just the way it is. And I respected that immensely about my mom, but it did cause issues for a period in our time. When I was going through high school, because I didn't know what was happening. And I remember saying to her, that feeling when you tip too far back in your chair and you feel like you're about to go backwards and you catch yourself, but there's that minute of like your stomach drops.
Mm.
I said, it starts like that. And you literally, no matter if it's my first panic attack or my 1,000th, it feels just as scary.
Mm-hmm.
It feels just as much like it could be a heart attack, or I'm going to get violently sick in public, or, it feels just as scary. And my mom started, after she moved on from the restaurant business, they sold it when I graduated. I have an older sister. And when I graduated, they moved off of the island that I grew up on and sold their restaurant and started doing other things. And my mom decided to work at the airport until she chose to retire. She probably could have retired, but like I said, she's very busy,
Right.
likes
Mm-hmm.
to work. And
Yep.
she became a manager, which is no surprise to me. And she would be kind of in charge of when a plane had to be, turned around. And she said to me, it's the first time she'd seen like these big, strong, grown men thinking they're having a heart attack, and they'd be met by medics, and it would be a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I think it really dawned on her that they're that scary and that real. And it's not about overreacting over something like, someone wore an outfit better than you today and you're just a little bit stressed about it. It literally, it's a full body reaction. Your body goes into a primal state, and the adrenaline creates very, very real symptoms. And, these people that have never had panic attacks will get them in the middle of a flight, and it becomes we have to land the plane. There's a heart attack. And I remember that was the turning point for kind of my mom and I, in terms of her understanding and really trying to want to understand panic, because, you think about if a grown man's that scared, how hard is it for a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old or 15,
yes. Trying to deal with everything life.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you have this extra crap that you have no idea where it came from.
And you have to hide it because you feel crazy trying to explain it. And
it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first, in college, I played collegiate fast pitch on scholarship. And I remember, athlete kind of code is, you're respected the more you can ignore injuries. Like if you take a ball off the shin and don't flinch, you're tough,
Right. Yeah.
But, no one explicitly says that to you, but it's kind of like this code where the tougher you act, the more respected you are as an athlete, and probably even more so in male sports. But my friend took me to my roommate and best friend in college took me to emergency room twice. We both were convinced something was very, very wrong, and I didn't really have a name for what was happening to me yet. I just knew I'd get very sick and I'd get really sweaty, like you said, couldn't catch my breath, and it'd be very, very real. Like I was like, something's wrong with my body. And I went to the emergency room, and they'd put an IV in, and she'd inject something, and I was fine. Within 5 minutes, going from thinking I'm having a heart attack to I'm literally fine. And I said, "What did you just do?" And she said, I gave you a sedative, a mild sedative for panic. You're having a panic attack." And I was like, "No, I'm not. Like, this is real, man. Like, don't tell me I'm having a panic. Yeah, I'm not just stressed. My body's dying. What are you talking about?" And, you kind of look at them like, yeah, okay, clearly you don't know how I just felt, because that was more than a little stress. Like I felt out of control. And, the second time it happened, it was like there was no denying anymore. I was like, these are panic. Wow, okay. And so then you like you were kind of saying, you start to panic about panicking. You don't want to have that happen. And it becomes a bit of a cycle. But what I've learned, and what I want kids to start to learn is, oh my goodness, the more you can talk about it, you'd be surprised how many people have it and can embrace you for it.
Lauren, can I tell you this? So as I'm talking to my father and my brother, okay, 4 or 5 years ago, I come to find out that they have the same crap. So it's and listen, isn't it more chemically induced in your body? It's a chemical,
absolutely,
right? So it's not necessarily you. It's something going on in the brain that's allowing this to happen. But it's hard for those of us who have it to shut it down. And this
is the best way. Go ahead.
And it just rears its ugly head. Even now, I go to the dentist. I'm comfortable with the dentist. I know what it is. As soon as I freaking walk in that damn door, okay, I have to tell myself, oh, shit, here we go again.
Okay, breathe, yeah.
So, Lauren, you know what works for me? Talking.
What's that?
Talking to the hygienist.
If you just tell them that it happens for you, they get it. More than we don't give people enough credit sometimes for the empathy that they're able to give. And the best way I can describe panic to someone, or if I always hope there's parents listening. When I talk about, I've done a lot of public speaking around it, and I always want the parents to hear me as much as the kids, because the best way I can describe it, and I remember telling my mom this example very vividly, and I've been able to build on it over time as I started to understand my body. But when we're afraid of a snake, or we don't like flying, we're afraid of flying, or we're afraid of even the dentist, we avoid it, right? We don't get on the plane. We don't go walk in tall grass where snakes are known to live. We just avoid it.
Yep.
However, when you live in a body that creates that fear, we don't get to we don't get to leave our bodies. So when it's flooded with adrenaline, the same way you would if you were afraid of a snake and you saw one slither past you, is the same thing that happens to us, only we don't get to remove ourselves from that tall grass.
Right.
We don't get to not get on that plane. We live in that skin. We live in that body. And I think when people start to understand how powerful that is and how challenging that can be, that if you were afraid of flying, imagine always being, maybe 1 minute away from being pushed on that plane and you're going.
Mm-hmm.
It really brings it full circle for people to understand, like, it's no joke. It's no light feeling. And, you start to see kids struggle with, or teens start to experiment with alcohol or drugs. And all of that is numbing. You're doing exactly what people do when they're afraid. You're trying to avoid your body. You're trying to avoid your feelings, and you're trying to escape the skin you're in that feels so scary and unpredictable, because it out of nowhere just decides to flood your brain with adrenaline, and suddenly you're ready to fight off, a predator like it's the fight of your life, but you're just shopping for groceries.
Yes.
So
yes. Yeah.
And it comes out of nowhere. I mean,
does.
a lot of times I don't even know what triggers it. I'll just be, like I said, literally shopping. Else I'm like, whoa, anyone else? Do you guys think it's hot in here? Oh my God. Yeah. I just leave my cart in the middle of the aisle, just off I go. Oh, yeah, goodbye. Yeah,
See ya, I gotta get outside.
Sit in your car.
Well,
Yeah,
it's great that you are someone who is, again, trying to get the word out. Because especially now these days, our kids are just so bombarded with all this stuff. Not to mention now the pandemic, and they can't be in school and see their friends, and it's just not real. So I give them a lot of credit for getting.
We also live by only seeing highlight reels now too. So we're only seeing Instagram feeds and Twitter feeds and Facebook feeds, which are, everybody puts their highlight reel on there, myself included. You don't post yourself when you're sweaty and like your upper lip is like dripping sweat and you feel like you're gonna throw up in the car. You don't post that and be like, good day today, had a quick panic attack in the car. You post to one of you, in front of a palm tree or something while you're, it's all this world that we create that makes people feel like, I call it OCD, but obsessive comparison disorder. It's like you compare yourself constantly to everyone else.
Everybody else, yeah.
Like, what's wrong with me? If they're but the same thing, they're doing the same thing. They're putting their highlight reel up, and so I try and say, like, yes, I'm meeting these amazing athletes and I get to be a part of these big projects, but make no mistake, I am not put together. I am not perfect, and you still can do these things.
Well, and that's what I want to find out from you. Yes.
Yeah.
So how has your artwork gotten you through this as much as you think it has, right?
Yeah, I mean, in high school for me, it was a way to try to explain some of the pain I was going through, because with panic attacks and anxiety and stuff came loneliness. Like, I wasn't able to do, I was afraid to do certain things. So, making friends was harder. I never felt like I was really in any group. I was kind of that funny athlete that people liked, but also wasn't the person anyone really called on the weekend to hang out, so I felt very, very isolated, and art became kind of a way to try and say that, but in a way that I could hide still. So kind of like when a songwriter makes a song where you're like, oh, that must be about a breakup. And later they're like, no, that's actually about me doing this. And you're like, oh, never mind. It was kind of the same concept. Like, I could draw, a small child crying or upset. And they'd be like, why'd you draw? And, I'm practicing emotions, human emotions. I'm practicing, drawing that. But really, I'm expressing what inside feels like.
Yes.
Like that there is just, I am freaking out inside. And on the outside, I am pretending like I have it put together. I'm a star athlete in a small school, which, doesn't take much when you grew up on an island as small as I did. But, it was my way to kind of talk about it without talking about it. And I kind of think I know this now, but I was hoping someone would see through that. I was hoping someone would see the art as a cry for help. And I did a really good job making sure no one did, but I think that was where the art started to kind of be my life ring. Kind of like, okay, someone is going to get this eventually. And if they don't, at least I'm finding ways to express it. And that continued throughout college. And I just, kind of did it on the side then as I started getting into actually seeing a therapist through the school and, trying to work through things and medications and all, the gauntlet of different therapies and, methods to try and regulate my system. But then I experienced a head injury 4 years ago, which I had no idea. And I hope programs and education, athletic programs start to really pay attention to the impact concussions can have on people, especially young folks, and repeated concussions. Even if they're minor, they can add up to a point where they exacerbate underlying mental health issues. And so I had finally gotten to a place where I understood where I was at. I felt good. I was on, tapering off of medication, and to one point where I was on almost nothing and I felt great. I was like, I think I finally understand myself enough that I've got the tools in my belt. I always say I'm never probably going to be cured of panic attacks and anxiety, but I will have a tool belt big enough that I'll know how to handle them in a way that doesn't interfere with my life.
And that's the most important thing. You need to have tools to be able to allow you to get through. And if it's systematic, or if it's taking a walk, or if it's delving into a project, or talking to somebody, whatever it is,
absolutely,
that's what you have to do, right?
Yeah, and you keep adding tools to that belt, and maybe this tool isn't appropriate for this situation, but this tool is, or and you start to learn how to kind of be a chameleon in a sense, in different settings, and understand, okay, I might not be able to close my eyes and do 4-4-4-4 breathing, for those of you that are familiar with that, where you breathe in, hold it for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 4.
Okay.
You might not be able to do that in the middle of dinner with your friends. You might need to try a different tool, which is excuse yourself to go to the washroom and just work on it. Just do some breathing in there, take some deep breaths, think about the fact that you're safe. Things like that. It looks different than when you're, I don't know, on a plane and you're in the middle of a panic attack. Like, you start to learn which tools work for which situations. And when we first start out, we don't have any, and we're fumbling around. It's terrifying. And, that's been the beauty of therapy for me is, I think at first I was frustrated. I was like, oh, I'm going to be in therapy like tops a year. I'll have my life figured out. Everything's great. And done.
Get all the answers you need. You get all the answers. This is great.
Yeah. It's just I'm going to have this breakthrough. I'm going to cry a little, and then I'm the next day going to be cured. Like, I'm going to have everything I ever wanted and never be scared or panicked again. And then this reality hit of like, nope, you actually don't really. I always say it's a school I'll never graduate from. Yes. But I keep rising up. I keep finding, I keep excelling in areas as I learn different tools and different, answers to problems. But, it comes and goes. And after the head injury, it was like I felt like not just 10 steps back, but 10 steps back from 5 years ago. So I was suddenly the worst I had been in a long, long time, and had no idea the connection between head injury and, exacerbating prior head injury or prior mental health. And it took a lot of advocating on my own behalf and researching on my own behalf to seek out the help that I needed, and to kind of live in my story and understand my story instead of letting other people tell me. Because there's so many opinions out there on health, what to do with things. I was joking about this with a friend yesterday, actually. And this is meant to no offense to anyone that has ever made this suggestion, but I'm like, if one more person tells me to do yoga, I'm going to lose my mind. I live in Vancouver, okay? Yeah. So if one more person tells me to drink a cup of chamomile tea and do yoga, they are going to get a fist in their mouth. So, because it's like when you're in the middle of a panic attack, you want me to just try like downward dog? Not happening. Like that's not fixing my panic attack. And so, but little things like that do add up. When you start to practice, mindfulness and all that stuff, it feels impossible, and it's like, I always say it's like trying to teach the breaststroke to someone who's drowning. Like there's a time and a place.
Yes.
Right then is not the time to be like, try yoga.
No, go grab them.
You're like,
go get them. Yes.
Doggy paddle till you get to the shore. Like, just get there and, just survive it, and then start learning about how to survive it better.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And I always tell, young kids or anyone, my inbox is always open, and I do try and keep up with them. It is getting harder to make sure I don't miss people, because, every other message is what baseball card I must do next. But
of course, yes, they're telling you what to do.
But,
yeah.
Exactly. Like very vividly, exactly what my next card needs to look like for them. But, it's so important as adults and parents and even teachers and counselors in schools to recognize that, these kids are hanging on to hiding with a white knuckle grip because they don't want to feel like they think they're the only ones that feel like that. And the more we can start talking about it as adults and lead by example and say, hey, like, I know it looks like, this on the outside, but this is what I'm going through on the inside. And it's okay for us to talk about this. And it's okay, to not be okay. And I think we're getting better at it, but having professional athletes who seem to have it all, explain, like I was just talking about Simmons from the Twins today, and I was like, when he went on leave last year for depression, and people were like, oh, it's kind of COVID related. He said, no, I'm actually struggling with depression. I was so grateful, because there are kids that don't understand that you can be something great and still struggle.
Absolutely.
Like,
you mean
they are not.
Doesn't make a difference. You're making $1 million. You are a person that has feelings, and my feeling right now, I hate to break this up, but the Phillies just lost in extra innings. Anyway, go ahead. Now I'm not depressed. I'm angry. But go ahead.
Now you're just mad.
Now I'm just mad. Damn it.
God.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Really, no, it's true. Like there's so many. We forget to talk about the human element. We're always so busy trying to, and I think it's this kind of the social media trickle effect where, oh yeah, well I did this. Oh yeah, well I'm doing this. Well look at this photo of me. And so sometimes I try and just take a step back and be honest, like, you know what? Actually, I'm having a hard time right now. I'm not able to manage this, and this, and that's okay. I'm still making baseball cards. I'm still doing the job I never dreamed I could have. But it's okay that behind closed doors some days I am struggling to get out of bed.
Absolutely.
That's just life for me and with mental health. And
absolutely,
you don't have to. It's not the end of the world. And I think sometimes when we're younger, we think it is. Absolutely. And even as an adult, sometimes I think it is. But remembering that you can still achieve great things is really important.
And it can be scary. It's okay. But
oh God, yeah.
It's when it's scary and you you figure a way to get through it. To me, that was my biggest accomplishment, going to get my haircut for the first time and not having to do it. And you know what I did? I said to myself, very good. I'm proud of you. Way to go. When I did same thing as a dentist, I said, okay, what makes you feel better? To myself, I said, hey, talking will do it. So as soon as I sat down in the chair, I got the hygienist's name, and we started talking. And that was the way it works for me, and I am proud of myself. And you should be to feel proud of yourself to be able to get through even that small little thing, that 15 minutes in great clips, right?
Yeah.
I did it. Way to go. Awesome. So
it's so important. It's important to acknowledge those things. And, the other thing too is, it's important to pick your people, know your people and build your tribe, And that's been an ongoing process for me. That if someone doesn't love me panic included, anxiety included, depression included, they're not my people.
Right.
And they can still be cordial, and we can still be kind to one another and be acquaintances, but you need your pack. You need your people that understand you, and you're going to find a lot of people that don't. And that broke my heart for a long time, and it still does. Like when I think, I've got a great relationship with a friend, or even sometimes, even family members at times, I've thought, okay, they get it. And then you struggle and you see that they really don't get it, and they aren't okay with it, and they don't understand it, and they think it's a you problem, not a chemical imbalance. And it's as simple as you need to just calm down. Which is my favorite sentence ever. Like, I love that. Oh, that's all I have had to do all these years is just calm down. Oh my God, I hadn't thought of that. Weird. I have been struggling for no reason. But and you find your people, and it's okay if it's only 2 or 3, but the more honest I've been able to be with people, I've noticed my circle may be smaller, but it's also very supportive. Yes. And I don't worry about when we're in a car together, if I say, oh my God, you guys, we gotta hit a gas station, feel a little sweaty. Like, I was with a friend but I went with my best friend to Greece and Italy, and we were driving in, so we decided to go hit the Alps from where we could. And, I'm in the car, and all of a sudden, out of left field, I just get hit with like the sweaty lip. Oh my God, I'm panicking. Holy crap, I'm dying. And I was like, pull over the car. And we were literally on a road that was like the dodgiest road in our little tiny rental car, stick-shift rental car. She's like, I can't. I'm like, you need to. And she's like, I can't. I'm like, no, we're gonna. And so I'm freaking out. She's kind of like, can you wait 2 minutes? I'm like, no, you don't get it. Panic attacks don't wait 2 minutes. And I'm like, I'm free. I literally opened the door and just got out. We weren't going very fast. And she just, we laughed about it later. I'm just sitting in ironically, this is a very strange place to stop, but when you stop at like I'm out there and I'm like waist deep in snow, and there's like this little prayer center off to my left, and she's like, did you choose this place? I'm like, no. That's
so funny. That is ironic.
Yeah, I know, we were kind of laughing. I'm like, oh, weird. So, okay, well, this is where I happen to stop. I don't know, do we take like a pamphlet? And she just said, what do you need right now? And I was like, I just needed to get out of that car. And I felt so trapped, and it wasn't like, you idiot, why'd you get out of the car, like we can't be stopping. It was just a very like, you dummy, you kind of got out of a moving car, not your best, but that's okay, what do you need right now? And she went and got me a water, and she didn't push me. There was we need to get in the car, we've got a schedule. It was like, when you're ready. And when people give you the permission to be what you are in that moment, the panic goes away.
Yes,
it's when people are like, we gotta go. Come on. You're fine. Calm down. Just get in the car. Let's go. You're fine. It's not a big deal. It's just a panic attack. That's when you start to really ramp up, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And so I've learned that the most important thing I can do to help myself right now is to pick my people.
Yes.
And be okay that some people are only going to be acquaintances, but to focus on the ones that love and understand every aspect of me, not just the fun part that gets to go to cool games and, gets ticket or knows an athlete, or, but the ones that know the me that is not quite so put together and pretty, and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
And that takes time. But it's
tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some other good stuff.
Let's do it.
Project 70. We're loving
Very
it.
Fun.
I'm
loving it.
And Lauren, I told people, I tweeted out, do you know how the hobby is exploding right now? And how these are just another piece of it? Is this not amazing?
It's incredible. It's I was licensed with MLB a few years ago, and I tell people I'd go to sports stores and be like, oh, I'm licensed by MLB. Like, what do you think about carrying these? Like, oh, art and sports don't go together. And I'm like, okay, now what? Like, look at this. Now we go. It's all the thing. And baseball cards are back, and sports cards are back, and now all these NFTs, which don't ask me detailed questions. I don't understand it yet. But
Blake NFTs is like, come on, Blake, stop.
I know Blake's trying to help. Blake's trying to help me understand, so I got that going for me. But yeah, it's incredible, and it's so fun to be a part of it right now when it's kind of in this. We're in this really cool surge, and I love that they're finally kind of colliding these two worlds of creativity that's more than just and really involving such a wide range of artists, where I'm okay with the fact that some days people are like, pass, don't like it,
Right.
ugly. It's like, but you're talking about it,
Absolutely.
but you're looking at it, you know, and so it's fun. It's been really fun to kind of support other artists too and see what they create. I get just as excited every morning to see other people's drops as I do my own. It's like, ooh, like I love Chuck Styles, and he dropped his Cal Ripken 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. Yeah,
I was like a kid. I felt like a kid all over again. I'm like, okay, it'll be up any minute now.
Yeah.
What's it gonna look like?
I
Oh my
wanna
God,
see
that's
this.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You know, like you just get all. And then Brittany Palmer's Babe Ruth was stunning.
Oh, the Babe Ruth was good.
Yeah, so
Hers was.
it's really amazing. It's really amazing. Yeah, the other Babe Ruth was a little bit.
Yeah.
It was for I think a different crowd.
Yeah,
But
I had a question myself, and the Yogi Berra. I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
What are you doing
what's
with
weird is,
Yogi?
you know, that's the crazy thing about art. It still spoke to a few thousand people.
Some people,
you know,
yeah,
and that's,
absolutely.
absolutely. You know what's funny is my mom loved that Yogi Bear card.
She
And I was
did?
like, really? Yeah, I was like, really, Mom? And she's like, yeah, I really like that one. And I just kind of looked at her like, huh. But then there's cards where I'm like, isn't this stunning? And she's like, meh.
No.
So you never know. You know,
You don't,
it's all,
and that's the beauty of it. Listen, this is being done with fewer artists in Project 2020 and a lot more now. So it's giving all of us an opportunity to see more artists and what they are doing. I don't like the cartoonish ones. I am a real. If you were to put me in a category, a realist, if you will, I want to
Yep.
see, like you do, a real card. Do it a different way. That's fine. But I want to see a real card. I don't want to see a card without a face.
Sure.
I don't want to see a cartoon. I grew up on baseball cards that were picture, name, position, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you see Pardee exploding, and I think what he's done is he's gathered another huge world, which is the comic book world. And I think you have to give him credit. First of all, his stuff's very cool, but what I initially have thought, if you explained his card to me, did I initially think that would be something I'd collect? No.
Mm-hmm.
But the risk he took in taking such a big leap with that first Acuna, it's hard not to be impressed by his work. And he also tells such a beautiful story. Not beautiful. It's if he heard me say beautiful about the stories, he'd probably cringe, because that's exactly the opposite of his point. But my point is, he's a very good storyteller. So, you know, people get engaged. They get invested in that story, and that, the Mike Trout thing with the story that behind that whole card. And he tells a great story. It's like a comic book.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I love that he's brought that to the table. I just joke around. I'm like, oh my God, my goal is just to end up with like maybe all my cards equaling the same print run as this first two. Like, he's just killing it.
Yeah.
But
I saw. Listen, print runs. I saw a stat the other day. Are you like 2? Or 3?
I was until I think I'm 3 now. I think
Okay.
The Ellis, Doc Ellis Ermsey put him at 2.
Okay.
Which I actually thought that print run would be a lot higher than it was.
Uh-huh.
Just given the wordplay, you know, Ellis, D, LSD, and
okay.
infamous no-hitter. You know, it
gotcha.
was well done, and kind of the phase from the psychedelic into the player, like
Okay.
the whole story about his no-hitter, you know, with the Pirates while he was,
Yes,
as he explained, high as a kite. Yeah, so
Lauren, thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna have to go look at that. I'm gonna have that.
See, I had to tell a few people about it, and then once I told them, they're like, "Oh, that is really cool." So I think maybe not enough people knew what he was trying to do, but I think he had to, you know, also be careful not to explain it too much, or it maybe wouldn't have got approved. I don't know,
Right. Yeah.
but I thought it was quite smart and pretty brilliant, and I bought one, and it's usually not my style. I'm like you. I'm not really a cartoony person. I like more realism, and but I was like, you know what? Well played on this one. Okay, like you're working with a lot of different stories here, and well done.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
I thought that would be a higher print run, and I also thought Andrew Thiel's mantle would be a little bit higher, but we're just seeing print runs kind of, I think, bottom a little bit right now, and people are needing to decide with their wallets what they want to do here.
Right.
Do you want to go after an artist set? Do you want to stick with players? Do you want to stick with a team? So yeah, I'm grateful to have been doing okay with my print runs, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. So
You are. I mean, listen, I can't imagine being someone as creative as all of you, including you. I know you wouldn't want me to leave anybody out, but um, that's who you are. You like to give credit where credit's due, but just
yeah.
your stuff is again within the card, within the players itself. I love it. It tells a story. Listen, the one that just sticks in my head, and I mean, I'm not a Mets fan. I used to be, but the fact that what you put on Alonso's helmet was just amazing. I mean that.
Everybody, that was one of my favorite helmet designs. It was when I was first starting to really learn how to bend things to work as a reflection, a true reflection. And yeah, that was my first print that ever sold out. And I did. Pete Alonso owns that original, so
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. It was one of those ones where I was like, dang it, I wish I had my license for 500 prints for that one instead of 100.
Yeah.
But you know, what are you gonna do? It just means I need to create another Pete Alonso piece and another DeGrom piece, because Mets fans they're awesome. They're buying all sorts of prints.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what you. I mean, I don't know what's coming up, but you know, it's so
That's
cool
funny.
that you guys have had the opportunity to pick your cards.
Yeah, and people love to get mad at big companies like Topps, and I am not kissing butt when I say they've been really great to work with. They've given us a lot of freedom in our choices. They've, you know, as an actual licensed artist outside of Topps, I know how hard it is to push some things through approval. Like I've had 2 George Brett pieces denied already because it includes the pine tar bat. And so when I saw like Acuna and then the Doc Ellis come through, I was like, geez, wow, okay. Like, you know, they're getting things approved that generally wouldn't be, and they're also kind of giving artists this freedom that I think, you know, baseball's not used to seeing, but it's pretty cool. And I do appreciate that they're also letting us, you know, they're trying to get certain licenses secured so that we can, like Bo Jackson's been from day one, my number one request, and I hope they're able to do something with that. But yeah, Mantle was another, you know, major request for a lot of people, and that worked out. But yeah, it's hard to know. It's so strange, you know, the whole hobby world. It's like another New York or California team. Blah. And everybody gets mad at you. And
What about the Cubs? What about the Oakland Lakers?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean,
where are the Marlins? You're like, oh God. And then, you know, then they don't sell, and it's like, well, shoot, you know, you're kind of caught in this between a rock and a hard place. Like for me, I want to do the players I don't have licenses for. So like, you know, the Willie Mays, the Ken Griffey Jr. Those were my childhood heroes, and I don't have a license to do prints of them. So that excited me initially, and then it's like, you know, at one point someone's like, oh great, another dead Yankee, and you're like, whoa, okay, all right, so that's a thing, and we're only on card number 2, and you know, so oh boy, so yeah, it's been really. I've tried to be vocal and honest with people that follow my work that, you know, if I try and shove myself into a box for other people to try and appease one crowd, I'm going to piss off another crowd.
Absolutely.
So I might as well stick with the thing that speaks to me, because I'll make my best art that way.
That's exactly right. You'll be passionate about that, not like somebody said it, right?
There's not a single theme I could make where everyone would be like, oh, good choice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're not going to please everybody. So let me ask you a question real quick.
Sure.
So this is going to take you a while to get through all these cards. I mean, I'm thinking, how does it almost like the rest of the year? It sounds like you got so many cards.
No, for sure.
Right?
I think my sixth card submission is due in 2 days.
Okay.
So, and I've released 3.
How many are you doing again?
20.
Yeah. So
it's going to be a year.
It is. It's got to be. I mean,
I think so. Yeah.
Which is terrific, because listen, just keep them coming. You know, it's so many more artists. But let me ask you a question. After this is over, you're going to take a big nap, obviously.
Oh my God, the biggest.
And then, have you thought about, you know, and all the things that I think about with you guys, with you making the art? There's so many ways that you can go with this. I mean, I know you have a brand, right? But I'm thinking for all of you, and I have you on the phone, so specifically you, and I know you know Greg Kreindler, and he did some great stuff in the leagues, right?
It's incredible. Yeah.
Would you do, and not necessarily just Negro leagues, but like even other sports in a big way, and not just one or two players?
You bet. And the problem is all the licensing and all
Licensing.
the legal. Yeah, it's tough. And they aren't. It's not like you can just request one and get it. I mean, that's what's hard is like you have to be approved, and then the amount that they expect up front, some leagues is like an artist can't afford that. So you've got artists doing prints that aren't necessarily legal, if you will, but there's also not a lot of options outside of that. And so I wish there was more programs within, NFL. NFL is a big one. Like that one would be huge, and it's pretty dang difficult to get. So I wish there was programs and I'm sure that they will start paying more attention to the combination of art and sport, because I just noticed Super Bowl. You no longer see the photos of the players at the bottom; they're now animations. So I think people are starting to embrace the art part of like that these two worlds can collide in a fun way.
Yes.
You see a lot of artists players wanting to do NFTs with art of themselves, and so my hope is they'll find a way to let artists do things the right way so that both people benefit. Because right now it's like you kind of, people ask me all the time, like, what do you suggest? How do I get licensed? And I say, honestly, like, make sure you're ready, because all the stuff you've previously sold, you got to ditch that. You now have to follow these rules, and pay this much. And I wish someone had given me that advice. I maybe would have waited a little longer.
Right.
Because it becomes so hard to do it the right way that a lot of artists just can't. And it's such a shame, because I think we're missing out on so much cool product instead of the same tired things over and over and over again, the same photos. I think we're missing out on this really fun opportunity to, involve some personality in both apparel and cards and all that stuff. But it becomes, the artist can't pay that huge check up front and guarantee, certain minimums. But I really do have faith that we're starting to see a shift a little in cards and little things along the way that maybe, more artists can get involved, because I would love to do more work in other leagues and, be able to just keep doing my thing and be able to provide. For me, it's the ability to provide prints, because not everybody can afford an original. Right. I know I couldn't for a very long. I still don't buy a lot of people's originals. I can't afford that.
Sure.
So when someone wants Ted Williams, and I'm like, sorry, I don't have rights. And they're like, oh, well, how much is an original? I'm like, well, the original is sold, but it was this much. And they're like, oh my God, I can't afford that. And it's like, I'm so sorry. Well, can you make me a print? No, I can't. Like, I would then, if I got caught, would lose my license. So it's all sorts of.
People don't know. People just don't know your world, and they
totally
tease you because you've done it. Well, you've done it. Why can't you just make me a print? Well, it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Well, and I learn something new every other week. I like get my hand slapped all the time. Like, oh shoot, wasn't supposed to do that. But I think this card thing is a great entrance. I think it's really starting to open eyes to the potential that combining different creative worlds could actually benefit a lot of people. And you're starting to see art being put up in stadiums, and it's not just the murals. Like Jonas Never is one of my favorite people in the project. I loved his murals, always have. I was actually in LA 2 days after Kobe had died in a helicopter crash, and I think his mural was up, or I saw it right after, but his Joe Kelly pout lip, like his stuff is so cool. Yes. Let's find a way to put that on stuff legally so that other people can buy it, and he can be benefit as an artist. And it doesn't always have to be one of ones, because not everyone can afford a one of one, so amazing, so I
Lauren.
think we're getting there.
Yeah, Lauren, it's just amazing. I mean, again, since I've been doing the show a year and a half, have discovered so many artists that do different things. It's just, and listen, baseball obviously for me is the one. So you're looking at Craig, you're looking at Brian Oakes, who was going to be on tonight, but he can't because he does the stadium stuff. Andy Brown from England. He did a tour of the stadiums, right? So like 2 years ago, and did prints of every stadium. I mean, this stuff is so freaking cool.
It is.
It's
Brian Oakes'
awesome.
stuff is very cool. And you know, it's really cool. I mean, there's so many different takes on the same. I mean, we can take a photo of a baseball card, but it can be redone in 50
Yes.
different ways.
It's
You know, whereas
exactly
before
right.
it's like, let's just put a different border on it this year.
Yes.
You know, like now it's
Different
like,
font.
oh wow.
Yeah, different
You look
font.
at this.
Wow.
You look at distorted, and you're like, okay, one eye and chicken. Wow. You know, which is
Yeah.
amazing because there's no border that's gonna make a card that exciting to some people. So
No,
I
not at
love
all.
it, and I think it's great when people are offended sometimes. I think it's great when people are like, this isn't true baseball card. I think all that's great because you know what? They don't realize baseball needs some life pump into it in a lot of ways. All sports do. We've got a young generation that's very excited and animated, and if we can kind of adapt and adjust with it and provide some more exciting alternatives, it's best for everyone. It's good for everyone. And you know, you can now, like Blake, you know, has done a really good job trying to kind of reach back down for artists and pull them up, because it's hard to be an artist and live that way, to be an artist that pays rent based on their art,
Right.
especially a sports artist.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see it happen, which is really cool, which is
Yeah.
very, very cool.
Yeah.
You know.
I am so happy.
I mean, it put
You-
Snoop on the map. His baseball
Pardon?
cards is really the only reason it put Snoop on the map. I mean, who knew
Oh,
who
it
the Snoop
did. Oh,
Dogg guy
yeah.
was? So they started making baseball cards. Now, I didn't know
Absolutely. Who figured?
So-
Snoop? Really?
Yeah, I know. Some guy named
list.
Snoop. Yeah, and he makes like a
Okay.
card. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll check out who this character. Oh, he does some rapping. Okay, cool. You know, so he's put him on the map. And
Yeah.
no, but it does help out. You know, like there are artists like that. You know, don't really are like, how do I figure out rent? And then they get brought onto a project like this, and their life changes. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's amazing, and I also would love to see more females represented in the future.
Mhm.
I think 5 out of 51 is not enough,
Right.
but I'm hoping that the ladies in the project, including myself, can blaze a trail that you know, there's some. Have you seen like Claudia, or she does a lot of Dodgers work, or Josie? There's a lot of very talented female artists out there
Yeah.
that I'd love to see get their shot, you know, in the spotlight. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you have been a spotlight in my art life. It's
Thank you.
It's been just, you know, and we didn't mention, you know, those who know Lauren, what she went through with what she mentioned a little while ago about her getting hit with a ball, and then what she went through and the surgeries. I mean, you to me were a true inspiration. And Lauren, you're so funny. You
you.
put those videos together right after you come out
Oh
of surgery.
God.
You're so
Oh, God.
it's self-deprecating.
I
but
looked
it's
at
so great.
those. I looked at them like 4 days later, and I was like, who was
Who
in
did
charge
this?
of holding my phone? who let me do, like, my friends that were helping me? I'm like, why did
Yeah.
you let me have my phone? Why did you let me have my phone that night? They're like, it was awesome. I was like,
It was
it's
great.
awesome.
No, Lauren,
It is now on the intranet.
it's okay. It is
No,
awesome.
I'm so used to being that person now. Self-deprecating humor is my jam. But
That's
oh my
it.
God, the one that I was just like, oh my God, was when I was filming myself in the surgery room
the
waiting for
room.
oral
Yeah.
surgery, and
Yeah.
I was so out of it that it
Yep.
was like scaring me a little. So I was like, I'm gonna videotape this. Like, and then the one where I got home and my lips all fat. And
Yes,
I
that one
laughing.
too.
Oh
Yep.
God. I just,
Lauren, it
like,
makes you
who
real.
who was in charge of holding my phone? Someone was supposed to slap that out of my hands, and they failed.
No,
failed
they
me.
were enjoying it like the rest of us were.
I'm glad. Yeah. Well, that dual Dodgers card I made during surgery, so it's a miracle that thing
That is
came out.
crazy. Yeah, that is nuts.
Oh God,
That's crazy.
That was tough. I was half asleep.
You did a hell of a job with that too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, you
so.
have work. I think you have work to do. I have to let
A
you
little
go
bit.
to get
It's
to
been
get your
wonderful
work done.
joining you, though.
Lauren,
Oh,
listen,
yeah. It's good to
such
take a
an
break from
inspiration. You are such an
Thank you.
inspiration. Love your work. Love you as a person.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna keep watching and checking out all your fun stuff. I love it.
Yeah, and if you ever need, if you want to involve some of the kids at your school or whatnot, let me know how I can help. I'm always eager to do that and chat or be an ear, or sometimes I just provide notebooks and colored pencils, whatever it takes to.
We didn't mention that, and that's awesome too. Terrific. Yes.
Oh, it's a small little thing I like to do on the side. It's nothing worth having a segment about, but I think it makes me happy to do that stuff. So if there's ever anything I can do, just let me know privately. You can just message me and I'll do what I can. And if any of the kids from your school are listening, that resonate with some of that stuff, I will just tell them that the one sentence that helped me after my head injury and that I have tacked anywhere in my apartment you go is darkness brings relevance to light. And it's super true that, whatever horrible time you think you're going, and it's not you're going through, if it feels horrible, it's horrible. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks it is. If you're struggling, that, just imagine how much more beautiful that light's going to feel, because you will find it. You'll find
better afterwards.
And if you can just hang on, the thing that's crazy is you don't know if it's a day away or 10 years away. But if you give up, it maybe was a week away.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's so hard. It's so hard. And I implore anyone that's listening to this, if you're feeling kind of at your wit's end, to just hang in there. The worst time in my life brought me the best gift in my life too.
Absolutely, yes. So
if you can find your person or find a way to push through, whether that's through sports or art, just hang in there. And you never know what's around the corner. That's the
true.
Funny thing. So
just got to keep plugging away.
Exactly, and the same goes to you. And I appreciate your vulnerability and chatting about it as well. It's always nice to hear. So
yeah, listen. I felt safe talking to you. That's why I brought it up.
Well, thank you. That's a nice compliment. So anytime you want me, I'm here for you.
Okay. So. I'll let you go now because I know you have work to do.
I know. I'm watching my dog sleep, and I feel like they're just taunting me. They're like, "Oh, doesn't it look nice to just nap?"
Get to work and don't drink your paint water.
Oh my God, I do that way too much. I'm like, whoa. Oh God, why do I
know. I almost commented when I thought you picked it up on the Facebook thing and thinking, oh shoot, that's the water. That's the wrong water. But then you moved it.
I know it. Especially when I first start out and it's not like super dirty yet, and I have the same. Why do I use the same cup? It's like I'm trying to set myself up for failure.
You are.
Stop. I do. Yep. So.
All right.
I'll
let you go, Lauren. Be well. Stay well. I love
will.
it. Thank you for coming.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You bet. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye. All right, folks. Great conversation with Lauren. Lots of good stuff out there. Quickly, tonight, 8 o'clock, in about 7 minutes, the Captain Lou extravaganza coming on. They're going to host the 2021 ACH Hockey Nationals preview show on 12 Ounce Sports Network and Zingo TV channel 761. Join at 8:30. Dan Huntley, it looks like University, I don't know what that means. UMary Men's Hockey. He's the head coach of the ACHA Men's Division II team. At 9 o'clock, Jim DiPaolo, head coach of DBU Athletics, Division III ACHA Men's. And Dave Kurtz, assistant director of hockey operations for ACH Hockey. So he'll be coming up in about 6.5 minutes. You heard me say that the Phillies lost. Hector Neris, you stink. All right. We're going to quickly take a couple of minutes break. We'll come back and we'll thank our guests, and we will review next week's show. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, At MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
And we are back. You're listening to 12 on Sports Network, The Burn with Mitch, finishing up today's show. Thanking Captain Bob from Wicked Tuna. Tune into that show Sunday nights. I believe it's at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Great show, Wicked Tuna. And Lauren Taylor. You can find Lauren at LaurenTaylorIllustrations.com, at LT Illustrations. A great conversation about her battle with mental illnesses and some tips for folks who are dealing and battling with that. And we talked about some sports cards too in Project 70, which she's involved with. Next week on The Burn with Mitch on 12 on Sports Network, we have Brewers Update with the group from Reviewing the Brew. We have a pre-recorded interview that I did with Mark Zumoff, play-by-play announcer for the Philadelphia 76ers, and Malika Underwood, a woman who has been involved with writing a children's book about women in sports and growing up and dreaming as a kid to get where you want to go. She co-wrote a book called Birdie Can Too, and she actually wrote it, and Anika Orok did the illustrations. Anika did a great book about the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, and Malika will be on in a pre-recorded interview talking about her journey through life as a woman, and how she got to do this story with Anika and some other fun topics. And if we can fit it in, we have Matt Gelb, a pre-recorded interview also. The following week, Matt Gelb talking about the Phillies, who lost, like I said again, Hector Neris. He's not the closer. He stinks. The following week, April 27th, end of the month, craziness, Don Zminda, I believe that's how you pronounce the name. Don wrote a book about Harry Carey, and he is also a card collector. So we'll be reaching out to the card collectors to take a listen. Gabrielle Starr, who is out of Boston, and I have to get you next week. I'll get you the website podcast that she gets involved with. She's a huge baseball fan, huge Boston Red Sox fan. So we'll be talking a little bit of Boston Red Sox. So that's it for me tonight on The Burn with Mitch on 12 Ounce Sports. Thanking you for being here. Appreciate the response I just received from Mark Hoyle. Thank you very much. It's a great interview with LT Illustrations, a must listen. Replays will be up in just a few minutes. And I hope everybody tries to get vaccinated. I hope you do. And I want you to stay safe. Spring is here. Baseball is on every day. The NBA, the NHL continue to move onward. And the NFL draft is coming up in a matter of days, weeks. All right, folks, that's it for me. Coming up next, the Captain Lou Extravaganza on 12 Ounce Sports Network. Zingo, Channel 761. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.